The Untold Truth of Eminem and How He Didn't Know If He Could Afford a Rolex. Fans of Eminem are complimenting the Detroit rapper for his ideas on spending money. They were seen sharing an old video of the rapper's interview in which he told an amusing story about buying a watch. When the host asks him, "Do you like spending money?" the Detroit rapper responds negatively, stating, "Not particularly." The presenter follows up by saying, "I heard a story that you wanted to buy a watch and even called your manager to see if you could afford the watch." "Yeah," the rapper responded, recalling his conversation with his manager. "I believe it was a Rolex. I also asked him if I could afford it. They mocked me for it, but I'm serious. This whole money issue and all that stuff was totally new to me." The Lose Yourself rapper further added with a grin, "I stated that I had purchased a Rolex. That is not a cheap watch. That Rolex is still in my possession. I don't wear it because I don't want it scratched." When the anchor inquires, "What are you wearing now?" Marshall Mathers responds, "This is a G-Shock. It costs somewhere around $100. Marshall Mathers, the blue-eyed son of Marshall Bruce Mathers Jr. and Debbie Nelson Mathers Briggs, was born as Eminem. Marshall's father abandoned him 18 months after his birth, leaving Debbie, then 15, to care for Marshall and, eventually, his younger brother Nathan. Marshall spent his adolescence bouncing between various public housing systems in Kansas City and Detroit. Marshall, who was frequently the new kid and typically one of the only white kids, began adopting an outsider's posture at a young age, which sometimes resulted in him being troubled. Meanwhile, life at home was equally difficult. Marshall was responsible for caring for his younger brother because his mother showed signs of mental illness. It all got worse when D'Angelo Bailey, a student older than Eminem, beat him so badly that he was sent to the hospital with a major head injury and was in a coma for over a week. Years later, he penned a song called Brain Damage about the same occurrence. Marshall's brain did not return to normal even after his coma recovery. From the start, he had to relearn everything, including motor abilities. Before breaking into the rap scene, Eminem had to deal with a lot of issues because rap was seen as the domain of African American people, and white people shouldn't perform it. He was first exposed to rap music by his uncle Ronnie, who played him the song Reckless. Marshall started rapping with his high school buddy as soon as he reached 14. They both frequently skipped class to take part in different rap competitions and bouts. He also felt compelled to pursue a career beyond high school. As a result, he changed his name to Eminem from his initials, Marshall Mathers, which eventually became Eminem. The specifics of Eminem's personal life are equally startling as his lyrics. Few people have made the same kind of leap from amateurs to pros as Eminem, who went from a horrible childhood experience to an incredible ascent through the underground rap scene. However, the rapper battled the demands of stardom along the way, both from other musicians and from within. This is Eminem's hidden reality. Although Eminem's career took off, it wasn't enough to cover his expenses. When Eminem's EP Slim Shady fell into the hands of Interscope Records, Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine, who were living in a trailer, they quickly followed him down and assisted in his meteoric rise to fame. Upon viewing 8 Mile, one could conclude that, despite not being the best actor, Eminem is undoubtedly a talented musician. His song Lose Yourself not only explored the themes of the film but also received an Oscar for Best Original Song. The storyline of the movie was mostly inspired by Eminem's life. A teenage rapper from Detroit fights both his brutal neighborhood and his way into the music industry. The non-diegetically played song Lose Yourself depicts Rabbit's struggle to pen lyrics that are good enough for a brawl. The song, which laments the narrator's everyday problems, is centered on a narrator who is highly focused on excelling in the moment of performance and is driven by a tight rhythmic guitar beat. Eminem's pal Proof thought it was time to test his lyrical abilities as Eminem began to write more and more raps. While Eminem was working in factories and stuff like that, Proof had been establishing ties in the hip-hop culture, according to Eminem in an interview for Hotbox and with Mike Tyson. Proof promised a group of roughly 10 individuals that he would try his hand at rapping, so he invited his pal to the hip-hop shop. Regarding his debut performance, Eminem recalled, "I got some people jumping around." Eminem became victorious in the inaugural tournament held at the hip-hop shop, which subsequently hosted frequent rap fights. To determine his opponent, he would merely draw names out of a hat. The rapper's remarkable hustle in the underground rap scene began with this. Eminem remembered doing shows at various locations at least 3 times a week when he was in his early 20s.